This is a follow-up to a statement that Pope Francis made on October 2nd. He was submitted with a set of what are known as dubia, that is, doubts, by a group of five conservative cardinals. And in response, the Pope said that it was appropriate for priests to administer blessings to persons who asked for them, but it should not create confusion about the Church's teaching on marriage, which the Church believes is exclusively a union between a man and a woman that is permanent. And so what this document basically does is unpack that statement from the Pope. It provides an 11-point sort of set of guidelines for priests in terms of administering these unions. We should note that this marks a reversal of a position the Vatican took just 2 years ago, in 2021, when it was asked the same question. Could priests administer blessings to same-sex couples? At that point, it said no. Now, under Pope Francis's guidance, it is giving a kind of cautious yes. So I guess what we could say is that this represents a sort of, instead of a red light, it's more like a yellow light.
Still, though, a significant shift by the Catholic Church, would you say? And what would this mean to same-sex couples within the Church?
Oh, well, it is certainly a significant shift. I mean, as I say, the Vatican rarely reverses itself within 2 years. I mean, normally it takes more like 200, right? And so, by that standard, this is fairly remarkable. In terms of what it will mean, I think there will be some same-sex couples who are deeply grateful for this and will take advantage of it. Of course, it will depend on the attitude of an individual priest in terms of how far he's willing to go. However, we also have to say that there are going to be other same-sex couples in the Catholic Church who remain frustrated, who think that while this is welcome, it falls short of the acknowledgement of full marriage rights that they would be looking for. It's one of these decisions that will satisfy some, it will consternate others.
How much opposition will the ruling have within the Church, do you think?
Well, look, the Catholic Church is 1.3 billion people around the world. It's kind of a microcosm of the whole human family. So there's opposition to everything. I mean, if the Pope opens the mail today, there will be some people who are upset about that. I think the bottom line is that this is a decision that will, I think, encourage many people who have already been working to try to reach out to the gay and lesbian community, and it will alienate others. The Pope, however, has left enough room here that individual priests will be able to make their own decisions. So, on the ground, I don't know that it's going to change the dynamic that much in the Church. Symbolically, however, it is certainly a massive statement about openness that will be debated, but nevertheless is historic.
Well, what does the move say about Pope Francis and his leadership compared to his predecessors and the legacy he wishes to leave?
Well, I think it says probably two things. One is that this is a pope of openness, a pope who, from the very beginning, remember he was elected in 2013, so a decade ago now, has been trying to push the boundaries, to push the envelope of the Catholic Church, to welcome in communities that have long felt alienated or marginalized. But secondly, I think it also cements Francis's legacy as a deeply polarizing figure. While this move is certainly going to play to great acclaim in certain circles, in others, more conservative or traditional Catholics, they will see this as a kind of betrayal of the Church's traditional teaching, or at least as a confusion of that teaching, and will react against it. And this, of course, in a sense, does nothing more than remind us that anytime you try to lead an institution in a new direction, there are going to be some who welcome it and others who dig in their heels and resist it. And that certainly is part of the Pope Francis story.
Meanwhile, John, a Vatican court has sentenced a former advisor to Pope Francis to jail for financial crimes. What do we know about this?
Well, so Italian Cardinal Angelo Becciu, who was once upon a time the substitute, that is, the Pope's sort of chief of staff, has been sentenced to 5.5 years in prison for his role in a controversial $400 million purchase of a piece of property in London. Supporters of the Pope would style this as a milestone in his campaign for reform. That is a sign that a new era of accountability has dawned in which no one is beyond the law. Critics, on the other hand, would see this as a classic sort of abuse of power. They would note that the Pope is both the supreme executive in the Vatican, but he is also the head of the judiciary. He intervened in this process several times in ways that many people think stacked the deck in favor of the prosecution. And so that they would say is that this is a kind of kangaroo court in which due process rights were overridden in favor of what the Pope wanted to happen. So it is, yet again, another instance in which the great debate, that is this Pope a reformer, or is he, in the words of one of his critics, a dictator Pope? That debate is crystallized, in a sense, in this verdict.
Well, John Allen, we really appreciate your time and shedding light on these developments. Thank you.
You're welcome.